Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, we're going to be discussing some failures of Disney. And if you guys actually want to come into the stream, I'm actually going to put the StreamYard in the chat. Ugh. Copy. So, sorry about my big ass hand. If you guys want to come in and discuss the stuff that we're discussing tonight, I'm not gonna diverge too much or digress. How you doing, Junebug? Good to see you. Now, basically, when I saw the article from Bounding into Comics of how they retcon the rule of two, that's unforgivable. That's stupidity that is just unforgivable. That tells me that Disney should not be handling Star Wars. They basically have the rule of two is two Sith rule over many now. No. 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 Happy day to you too, Happy. How you doing? Disney, you done fucked up. You see, the rule of two, as per your own interpretation of Darth Bane, not just all right, I just want to go back to work, and they spent a little entire day asking small companies if they could use any extra help. No luck. Sorry to hear that, Junebug. But yeah, seriously, the rule of two is there are two main Sith at any one time. You can have acolytes, sure. That's what Asajj Ventress was. That's what Savage Opress was. That and whatnot. And for a time, that's what Maul was until he actually was a Sith. He was the apprentice. But Sidious violated the rule of two because Plagueis was still alive. Now, bad taste in my mouth. That's what Star Wars does, folks. It leaves a very bad taste in my mouth. The thing is, folks, the rule of two is master and apprentice, one to embody the power, the other to crave it. As Darth Bane wisely put and wisely established. I do not like Disney Star Wars. It is no secret that I do not like Disney Star Wars. And this episode of Clone Wars where Order 66 is issued and how Ahsoka Tano deals with it was just basically a slap in the face of any Clone Wars fan. And anyone who knows I'm just going to puke on stream here. Yeah, I know. Not quite. If I have to puke, I'm actually going to, I'll puke. But because I won't be focusing on muting that camera or muting the mic. But anyway, folks, basically what I was saying is if you are going to screw with stuff like this, like basically giving clone troopers the accuracy of A New Hope stormtroopers, then that's one slap in the face that's stupid, first off. Secondly, OG Star Wars does raise a good point. How is Ahsoka able to interpret so much through the Force when even Yoda couldn't interpret what was going on except that he was feeling a very powerful dark surge at the moment when Anakin turned and when Order 66 was about to be issued? How was it that Palpatine in the Clone Wars show was not deformed? I covered this in a live video that is basically a video now. I covered it in a live video earlier. Some of the stuff that I had wrong with this episode. If I was chairman of the board of Walt Disney, I'm definitely hiring you to be lore master of Star Wars. No, dude. No. as I'm flattered, truly, I am flattered, Junebug, but you might want to choose somebody like, or you might want to choose somebody like OG Star Wars. Believe me, she is much more knowledgeable than I am. She is much more knowledgeable than I am. But hey, man, I'd settle for vice chairman. But yeah, I mean, there are just so many things wrong with that episode today. I mean, Rex, every clone commander, captain, and whatnot, every clone commander in the Grand Army of the Republic was programmed with the same response when they heard Order 66 go down. It will be done, my lord. Cody said it. Frickin' every other clone said it. It will be done, my lord. Or yes, sir. Or yes, my lord. Not yes, Lord Sidious. I'm sorry, folks. As Soaker will be turned into the bestseller or bestest ever apart from right. Yeah, that's basically what they're doing, folks. Jens Petter has it right here. Don't think incels feel and consume. Yeah, basically, Vice Lore Master, you got. There you go. That's what I hire you as. Alrighty, thank you, Junebug. That'd be awesome. But the thing is, folks, as I was saying, Rex says, yes, Lord Sidious. Does that mean that Rex knew who Darth Sidious was this whole time? Honestly, I want to know this. Because they have raised so many questions in the entire Siege of Mandalore arc. Because from what I remember, Episode 3 of Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith, that spanned about a week's time, maybe a little like 4 or 5 days. It was not, I think it actually spanned a couple months, to be completely 100% honest. But originally I thought it was a couple months. But I think it was actually more like 4 or 5 days. And the way that they have it in the Clone Wars, where Anakin leaves Ahsoka to go to Coruscant, the Siege of Mandalore was only like a day and a half. So then suddenly Grievous or Obi-Wan sent out Utapau to get Grievous. You're seeing scenes from the movie in the show, and I'm like, I'm glad they put in the original voice acting for Ki-Adi-Mundi, and also Ian McDermott's Sidious, execute Order 66. I mean, it should have either been, yes, my lord, or it will be done, my lord. And that is bright. That is the sun hitting my face. And hold on 1 second, folks. That is annoying. Oh. I'm back. That was, wow, I got spots. I came out with more questions than I started. Exactly. Holy crap, dude. Seriously. Indeed. The thing is, folks, when you are doing something, handling something as sacred as Star Wars, you do not insult the lore. This episode of Clone Wars called Shattered, you screwed with established canon. You did something you should never do. You basically are saying, well, we got creative license. We're going to change it to suit our stuff. And you don't do that. We're going to go to heaven now. I saw the light. Yeah, I know, right? Oh my gosh, that was a beautiful orange sunset. Orange. But anyway, I'm kind of being driven nuts by this whole thing. Because I can handle Ryan Johnson. What? Oh my gosh, he's actually become so unimportant that I forgot his first name. I can handle him telling people to suck his dick on Twitter. I can handle him calling people man babies. He's an immature prick. I can handle the fact that the guy cared nothing about Star Wars and set off to savagely destroy it. I can handle those facts. What I cannot abide is somebody like Dave Filoni. I used to be in Filoni's camp. I'm no longer in Filoni's camp. I cannot abide somebody like him I can't abide him screwing up the way he did. Hello, Tam Nguyen. I think that's how I pronounce it, Nguyen. Thank you for stopping by and dropping in. But yeah, folks, Traylon95, thank you for stopping in. I haven't seen the whole series. I think I got to maybe season 3. I'm waiting on the whole thing to come out on Blu-ray. I would actually get it get the DVD collections because you got special features on those ones. You can even see extended episodes and whatnot. Because, yeah, I absolutely love Clone Wars. Don't get me wrong, folks. I like Clone Wars. I don't love it. I mean, so yeah, I kind of just stepped on my own foot there. It is pronounced almost like win. So, win? Yeah. Oh, we got somebody coming in here. Brian, the Observer. How are you, Brian? Let me get my headphones in now that somebody has decided to come in. Oh, can you believe this crap that they're doing with Clone Wars and what they're doing with Star Wars?
I can.
Well, yeah, true. Kind of just slapped my face with that question. But yeah, man, they just changed the rule of 2. And I'm sorry, but the rule of 2 is something that is sacred to me. Honestly, you don't mess with the rule of 2. That's something that you don't do.
The reason I believe they're messing with the rule of 2, that is, I haven't gotten into Clone Wars, so let me guess, they're having him take on multiple apprentices or something like that?
No. What they're doing is they're saying that the rule of 2 is there's 2 Sith that rule over many Sith.
Okay.
Instead of a master and an apprentice, one to wield the power, the other to crave it.
Okay, so the master and apprentice, that's the rule of 2. Now, what are they doing it to, like, one guy rules it all?
No, they're doing it to 2 rule over many. Basically, Vader and Palpatine knew about Exegol and all their little Sith cultists, and they all fawned over both Vader and Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
So we're also going to go for a ride, folks. I'm going to go make myself some stuff because I need to drink. I need a drink for the stream. So, and it's not going to be of the alcoholic variety. I'm not that kind of person. I don't drink alcohol. But yeah, I am very passionate about my fandom and about being a Star Wars fan. So if I'm going to bitch about it, I need to drink about it. So yeah. And yes, Jumbo, you make an excellent point there. They need to put the Clone Wars in order. Yeah, they have many episodes that are out of order. And here, let me hide that now. That was also confusing. I will admit when I first saw it, it was that confusing as well. Trayla likes the 2D Clone Wars. Thing is, dude, I like that one better than I like the 7 seasons of this Clone Wars, because that Clone Wars by Genndy Tartakovsky was very good.
I mean,
So what are your thoughts?
I'll be honest with you. I've not gotten into Clone Wars mostly because I do not like the animation style. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm sure the story overall is fantastic. Had it been like an animation style that closer to maybe GI Joe or X-Men or even the DC animated stuff, I'd probably be into it. I probably would give it a go. I just saw the animation. I was like, I don't know. They all look like the Playmobil type of figurines, so that's why I never got into it. But I'm sure the story's great.
The story for the Clone Wars that Filoni and Lucas did is good in some ways, bad in others. The problem that I have with it is that they cucked the Mandalorians because they screwed with some. My drink. They screwed with something like the Mandalorians. They should have stuck to the Karen Travis model. The Rule of Two is specifically written by Lucas. He even went into detail and explained it to his creative team. Ichibaka posted that clip on his blog. They should have, or shouldn't have, been with it, messed with it, I'm guessing you meant to say.
So
Yes,
now they what you're saying is there's two sis wanting to like usurp Vader and Palpatine, or
no, they just retconned it in the episode 9 junior novel, whatever that is. I have no interest in it, but basically Mary Sue Palpatine, while reading her Jedi comic books, learned that the rule of two was the Sith rule over, or two Sith rule over many. And I'm like, somebody get me an orange. I need to slap a woman in the face with it. Well, not a woman specifically. I mean, if you can consider May or Ray Carson a woman, but
I thought the rule of two was one master, one apprentice.
that is what it is.
Right, but
That is what it is.
Two rule over many.
It is not two rule over many, though.
Still, it was Palpatine that was the boss, and Vader was the apprentice, and that's the way it was. And it just so happened that Palpatine just didn't want to die, and Vader never decided to take over his seat of throne. Was probably waiting for the right time.
But
he was going to. He was waiting for the right time. But that's still master and apprentice, and then the apprentice kills master and takes on a new apprentice. That's how it works.
Yep. I mean, it was established.
Or if the apprentice gets too belligerent, then the master kills the apprentice and gets a new apprentice. It's still two.
Basically, yeah. But yeah, I kind of tortured myself over a period of time, and I read The Rise of Skywalker, and I gave Ray Carson my thoughts on Twitter. And she blocked me.
Now, is that book any different than the movie?
It explains things that are it's a pothole. It's a pothole filler, basically, is what it is.
Okay.
But it also does change things a little bit, because now that it's not his grandkid. Ray is not Palpatine's grandson or grandchild. Ray is actually his granddaughter / daughter.
How's that work?
Because his son, Ray's father, is technically a failed clone of Palpatine that looked different. I'm
Okay,
thinking
so
of President
so
Sith and VP Sith, which is ridiculous. Okay, I like that one. Thank you, Trey. That was great, Trail. That is
pretty
good, man.
pretty much, and you know what? I think the reason behind it, to be honest with you, and this is what I've subscribed to for a very long time. There is an agenda, and
Mm-hmm.
like I mean, no, a power grab agenda. And I'm not talking about within Star Wars. I'm not talking about within Lucasfilms. I'm not talking about within Disney. I'm just talking about overall. And Disney is one of the tools that is
Jesus
used for that,
Christ.
and that is something, and that's a
Yeah,
parallel. That's a
I
that's a
mean, look
parallel.
at
That's a
if the
parallel because they
rumors.
want
Yeah,
supreme executive power. You see,
well, if the rumors are any indication, what's going on at Lucasfilm? If the rumors are any indication, where Chapek and where the Bobs are livid with Lucasfilm right now, it definitely supports your theory. It definitely supports your theory that there is an agenda at hand, and I think that Kathleen Kennedy. I honestly do agree, or I think that there is
she
some
she
merit to
she
that rumor.
she's a puppet. She really is a puppet. She's
She's a
what you.
puppet that's trying to create strings
Hmm.
for others.
She's a
She's
yes
trying to be the
man.
master.
Yeah,
Yeah, she's trying to be the master. But God, I just wish that bitch would be fired.
she's just doing what she's told. And to be honest with you, she's just a seat filler. Um,
Yeah.
and basically she's a figurehead. Is what it is.
Dude, she has executive or she has creative authority. She has creative
Yeah.
authority. Why do you think the force is female is a thing right now?
All she does, listen. She's a puppet and a tool. All she really does is sits there and signs off on things because she's told to sign off on things.
Who's
I
pulling
want
the strings?
Disney's pulling the strings, not her.
Well, obviously, but who? Uh, if Disney hires me, chairman of the board, Kathleen Kennedy will be stepping into my office, and I will
There's
say to her, "Your
only
services are no longer."
there's only one way to become chairman of the board, and that is to buy up everyone else's stocks or buy enough shares to where you get to be chairman of the board. That's how it works.
Oh,
So you buy
believe me,
people. Yeah,
if I was a freaking billionaire or even a trillionaire at this point,
yeah.
if I had,
You have to have Bill
if I,
Gates money.
yeah, if I had Bill Gates money, if I was one of those guys, I would, or when Disney hit the all-time low, I would have bought up so much stock to have controlling interest.
The guy that runs what's it Comcast is kicking himself right now because in the mid '90s they had an opportunity to buy Disney and they didn't. Or no, it's not just that. No, he couldn't convince the board members to put forth that much money to buy Disney, and he could have bought Disney. Could you imagine what would happen then? Could you imagine?
Probably would have been a better place.
I don't know. I
I
don't know.
mean, is this Comcast guy woke?
Uh, Again, he's another useful tool. Think about what Comcast owns: NBC Universal, right? NBC Universal. That's Comcast. That's your MSNBC. That is your
Yep, they're woke.
yeah. That is your crappy SNL. And you know who's executive producer on the Tonight Show and the late show, not late show, the late night show with Seth Meyers. You know who's the executive producer on that? That's
Uh,
Lauren Michaels. Lauren Michaels, same executive producer of SNL. So
I'm gonna lose
he
internet soon, so
has
keep talking while I'm gone.
he has what do you call uh uh a monopoly on late night as far as being an executive producer goes. So that's really the crap that you see. Let's see. Let's see. Pack your stuff and get out of here. Let's see. Hey, if Disney was okay. Well, my My girl has quite the inheritance of her parents who passed away. She's a millionaire, and that's what I'm telling her. We need to turn million into a billion so I can be chairman. You know what? If you got if someone's getting just handed to them six figures to seven, 6 to 7 figures, heck, even 8 figures, and at their disposal, there's an easy way to not easy way, but there's a good way to flip that, turn around, and make that into more money. It's best if you go ahead and buy up some assets and and there you go, buy some assets and then maybe set aside some money, put it into some stock. Now here's my advice: is you don't want to put it in, you want to put it into commodities. You want to make sure you have some commodities to be securities. Now what I'm saying about that is, simply put, uh gold, silver, oil are all commodities, uh are all assets that are always going to be around, stick around, and are always going to be worth something. Basically, they're inflation proof, is what I'm saying. Uh, is Orange Hat back? Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. Sorry, folks. That happens. That's why I actually have this banner. If there's a silent spell, I'm having internet issues. Please be patient.
But yeah, Junebug. Also, keep in mind that right now there are some businesses that might not be able to bounce back after this thing, and maybe they could be for sale. And if you think you could get in there and manage that, and if she's got a nice decent nut, she could do that, turn around and spend money, spend a little bit on advertising and staffing. And if it's a popular place, then it'll be a money making machine like a restaurant. Anyways. I went down a rabbit trail.
But yeah, the thing is, Lucasfilm has become the very evil that George didn't want it to be. Even when he started out, he didn't want to be, he wanted to be independent. Also, if I go out, just pick up where I'm leaving off, basically. He wanted to be independent from the empire of entertainment, so to speak. If you want to know what I mean, or if you want any more depth than that, the show or the documentary Empire of Dreams is a wonderful documentary that not only explains the making of the original trilogy, but also goes in depth of what Lucas had to go through to do it.
Oh gosh!
And believe me,
he went into red. He had to borrow.
Yeah.
He had to borrow money from Spielberg. Yeah, I mean, but he knew if this thing was to get made and get into a box office, that money would be recouped. But you see, he didn't. I mean, because here's another life lesson: those of you that are wanting to start your own business and whatever, or project, don't sit there and say, well, until I can afford it. What you got to do is you got to look at all of it. You guys find out how much it costs, and then getting the money is fairly easy. If you cannot get the loan, someone else can sign off of it. There could be a credit card, a very low interest credit card. You could do a cash advance. There's a lot of ways you can get money to do something. And someone like George Lucas, who was very confident in what he was able to do, was able to pull it off. And so that's something to behold.
It truly is, man. I mean, he wanted to be apart from the whole entertainment business, and he became an empire unto himself.
Oh yeah,
that's a success story that is very hard to come by. And here's the thing, folks: not only is that a success story, but when I got the special edition of Star Wars on VHS, they have at the beginning of each tape a small little behind the scenes thing for each movie. And each of them start with, in 1977, George Lucas and the people from Lucasfilm and all them created the Star Wars trilogy and changed the way we look at movies. That is a very factual, a very, very true statement. If it wasn't for George Lucas and what he did with Star Wars, shut up, vehicle. I'm trying to talk. How you doing, Scotty? If it wasn't for those movies, let's just say that we would not be where we are today in special effects and digital effects. Also, Scotty, if you want to come in and help talk about the multiple failures of Star Wars, the link, if you can scroll up, if this chat hasn't jumped all the way that far, well, I'll put it in here again. If you want to stop in, I'll give you the option.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is before all these digital effects, you worked with what you had. And
Yep.
and basically you had to know a thing or two about lighting. It really did help if you knew a thing or two about chemistry and pyrotechnics, and
Oh yeah,
and things like that. It basically, the CGI, it took a long time for those digital effects to actually come out pretty good. Even still,
I mean, Lucas, he was using some very old school. He was using very old school techniques. I mean, stop motion and whatnot.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's genius.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we need to see. I mean, and it's not that I'm dogging on digital effects, not that I'm dogging on CGI, which we've seen some of the things with special effects looks really awesome. And but you see, doing it the old way is not cheap at all. Not cheap at all. But if you know exactly how to pull it off, there it is. Same could be said for doing things. It's almost like, okay, here's a light shining on something. It gets hot and you have to change out the bulb. Okay.
Yep.
Here's an LED light, which costs way more than the light that you had, but the bulb will last 100 times longer than your incandescent lamp or your xenon or whatever. And it also takes up less electricity, and you could add more of them to a single circuit. And so in the long run, that's going to be the easier way, and you can produce way more of what you need with that than you could doing it the old way. So it's a trade-off. Yes, the materials are easier to get, but when you rack up the bill, it's more expensive.
Exactly. And the thing is, here's a good now, using practical effects is very good, especially if you know how to do it. And in my opinion, there was one guy who did know how to do it very well. And he's the one that did or Len Wiseman. He did the Underworld movies. He didn't want to do CGI werewolves and whatnot. He wanted to bring back the people in the suit, you know? And we got multi-minded Scotty. How you doing, Scotty?
I'm okay. How about yourself?
Good.
What's going on, Brian?
So, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I had a fairly okay day. I got to hike, which I haven't done in months, but it was good to get out.
Nice.
I actually took some photos, and I was maybe going to upload them to my Facebook. So.
Hey, you're under soft opening. Your state kind of opened up a little bit today, didn't it?
I think so. I think they're just opening things slowly, and it's going to be up to like 25%. Maybe it might increase. I don't know, but
we're getting the same thing, but on Monday.
Oh, on Monday, huh?
I don't think we're ever going to get it. I'm in New York.
Man.
And I hate it here.
But anyway, what were you saying on Orange Hat?
We were talking, or what was I just saying, or
yeah, you were talking about practical effects or something like that.
Oh yeah, practical effects. Basically, George Lucas did all that for his original trilogy of Star Wars, and even today, those movies measure up. Yes, they have flaws, obviously, but still, considering all of the hardship, this man had a heart attack after his first movie, after his first Star Wars movie. So did Steve Spielberg with Jaws. I mean, they both, freaking Spielberg and Lucas both, after doing their blockbusters, had heart attacks. Can you believe that shit?
They have heart.
And yeah, the stress attached to those movies was not low at all. But going back to the practical effects, I mean, he used TIE fighters, he used models, he used all of that stuff to do what he had to make his movie, and it works. And that is something that is sorely lacking with movies like the Disney trilogy. They're just too focused on digital effects now. I mean, sure, they use, or they have BB-8 and the droids as practical effects, but it still doesn't always come out well. Even their practical effects are decent, but they don't really come through well. Because also they make no sense. And going back to more failures of Disney Star Wars, like I said, I read this book. They still have not or you want to know how they tried explaining TIE fighters with hyperspace capability? Instead of giving a scientific explanation or an engineering explanation, they say they now have the capability.
Okay.
Could you elaborate,
please?
Which I'm guessing they didn't, right?
Did anything in Star Wars ever explain the hyperdrive?
Well, no, but it was widely known that TIE fighters could not use hyperspace, could not jump into hyperspace, which is why they were known as short-range snub fighters. Which, if you pay attention to the A New Hope, you say, it's like they followed us. No, it's a short-range fighter. A fighter that size couldn't get out this deep into space on its own. And they're right. The only TIE fighter that had hyperspace capability was Vader's TIE fighter. It was a prototype TIE Advanced, and even then, that wasn't put into mass production because it was far too expensive, even for the Empire. 20 years on. So it's like, yeah, you're not going to be able to...
because as such a small fighter going into hyperspace, a small craft, you have there's so many variables for it to run into something and explode while in hyperspace, and the fuel capacity. You would have to have a larger tank. One would assume. But I don't know anything about hyperdrive because it wasn't explained to me about hyperdrive.
Well, hyperspace is still, to us, a theoretical thing.
Right.
Now,
warp drive in Star Trek, but that had a better explanation, though.
Yeah, exactly.
They were using dilithium crystals and all that shit, though. And a warp core, which was basically a thermonuclear core, miniaturized. But the thing is, TIE fighters, TIE, actually stood for something. It was an whatchamacallit? Acronym. It meant twin ion engine. Now, if you look at the body of a TIE fighter, in the back, you see those twin ion engines. One on this side, one on that side. They had a nickname for the TIE fighter. It was called the Eyeball. They had a nickname for the Interceptor, the Squint. They had one for the Bomber, which I can't remember. But the point is, they all were basically of the same kind of design. No shields, maximum output of speed, sure, but also they basically focused on weaponry slight maneuverability, and engine output. With the twin ion engines, you could go fast, but you can't go far. Or even the Squints or the Interceptors, they were the most maneuverable, but they were also, but that sacrificed firepower. Where the bombers, very sluggish, not as maneuverable, but their weapon output was even greater because, well, they were bombers, and even their cannons were more powerful. But for these new, or the First Order ones that they did in Episode 9, they're jumping to hyperspace, and I'm like, all of this is a round cockpit. There's nowhere to put a hyperspace engine. There's nowhere to put it. So how is it going to hyperspace, Disney? Explain that, please.
They
see, they can't. So
they don't
when you are
understand science and warp and hyperdrive and all that stuff. I mean, TIE fighters in general are mainly just fighter pilots.
Exactly, they're fighter planes. They're fighter jets.
Fighter maneuverability, like you said, the ability to dodge, and they're just attack fighters, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I think didn't George Lucas base the TIE fighters on back in World War II specifically on how they would or maybe it was the X-Wing fighters, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, but he based the whole
dogfights. He based the dogfights on World War II footage, or World War II movie footage and whatnot. And and you can actually see that. I mean, if you look at many of the World War II movies and whatnot from the old days, you will definitely see Star Wars in those movies, or those movies in Star Wars even. And I just think that it is absolutely ridiculous that Disney wasn't using that. If you look at the trilogy that they have, you're not seeing Star Wars, this Disney trilogy. And it's not just that, it's everything they're doing. This High Republic nonsense that they're doing.
Hey, Orange, I gotta dip out. I gotta,
all right.
I got another stream I gotta get to. But
right,
thanks for having me on. And yeah, just as always, these things kind of suck. The way they kind of shoehorn in there, and it's all part of an agenda. It's all to get the people that know about it just to walk away, and the people that are kind of naive to things, just kind of get some people in their normies, and not just normies, but I'm talking about younger adolescents, and it's just and it's a way to indoctrinate them. Anyways,
yeah, it is.
I'm out. I'll catch you later, Orange Hat. And
all right, take it easy, folks. Folks,
get ready for America's soft opening.
Yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Brian the Observer, do so. He's a great channel. Soul Assassin plugged his channel.
Thank you, Soul Assassin.
So yeah, definitely, guys, check out Brian. He does some good stuff. And Brian, I'll catch you later, buddy. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for keeping my mind while I was having it.
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. Later, guys.
Later.
But yeah, when you're looking at Disney Star Wars movies, you're not seeing the same cinematography as the original trilogy and even the sequel or the prequel trilogy. Mm-hmm. You were seeing dogfights in those movies. You were seeing space battles that were freaking awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
When you saw it,
awesome for the time, for sure.
Exactly. When you see these ones in episodes 7, 8, and 9, it's like 7 had a little bit of it. I will give them that. 7 had a little bit of it, but it wasn't really enough to truly grab people's attention. It didn't have the same wow factor. And that's the problem that they have. And Disney just keeps on failing. And for those of you who are just joining in, I am going to give a brief recap of the previous stuff that I was talking about. Lucasfilm under Disney purview has not been very good. They have no idea what they're doing. They just changed the rule of 2. They retconned their own canon that they themselves built, because when they created the Darth Bane for Disney Star Wars and for, well, Filoni Star Wars, who Bane was actually voiced by Mark Hamill, which was very good. But also it doesn't change the fact that they kept that rule of 2, which was master and apprentice, one to wield, one to crave. And then they come up with this new, well, the rule of 2 is 2 Sith ruling over many. It's like you went from a beautiful expression to dumb literacy. Seriously, folks. You can't get much dumber than that.
Or desperate.
Or desperate, yeah. And this isn't the first time that they've contradicted their own canon. Everybody knows that frickin' Kylo Ren was worshipping his grandfather, Darth Vader. Hence, why he had that stupid-ass helmet that literally looked like a frickin'... Well, to put it plainly, it looked like the head of a penis. Let's face it, folks. That's what his frickin' helmet looked like if you're looking at it from any angle. I mean, seriously. The dude had frickin' Vader worship to the point where it's like the reason why he's stuck in his room and nobody wants to visit him is probably because he's doing something a little too disgusting. But anyway, moving on. They did a comic.
He was pretty much that the helmet was communicating with him at one point, so yeah.
Yeah, and they actually said that was Palpatine that was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
With the whole, I have been every voice you have ever heard inside your head. With that whole thing. I wouldn't even, Soul Assassin, I would not even compare him to Revan. That helmet looked nothing like Revan. But I do understand why people would make the comparison because of the hood and the mask. So yes, I understand it. It's just I still wouldn't even make that the comparison. Revan was a true virgin in the Force, meaning he was gifted with an extraordinary talent in the Force. And he also was an actual balance point himself. He perfectly married light and dark. Where Kylo was just raw power that had a hard-on for the dark side. But back to their contradiction, they had a comic that took place before Episode 7, where Kylo kills a Zillo Beast. Vader couldn't, or was unable to do so. And Kylo had an actual clone trooper who still wore his original armor, well, stormtrooper armor, even during the First Order time, and he said this is not a competition and whatnot, but Kylo actually kills the Zillo Beast and carves his way out of it, which doesn't make sense if you actually watch the Clone Wars. A lightsaber can't scratch that armor. But anyway, at the end, that same clone says, you know how I said it wasn't a competition? Well, you won. Okay, so if he has that competition that he knows he's greater than Vader at this time, why in Episode 7 do they have that line, you're afraid that you will never be as strong as Darth Vader? Wait, wasn't the Zillo Beast extinct? No, they cloned it. In the Clone Wars, they actually cloned the Beast. You don't see the cloned Beast, but you see Palpatine give the Doctor the new orders, and she's like, what? You want me to clone the Beast? So yeah, they bring it back from extinction. They cloned it. But yeah, So having it retcon episode 7, it's like, you idiots don't realize that you're freaking ruining your own canon. You have done so much to damage your own canon that you tried creating. You should have stuck with the EU. Not only would you have had multiple people loving Disney Star Wars still, you would have had us eating out of the palm of your hands. Some of us. Not everyone. But you would have also been able to continue with an established lore. Sure, you might be able to change a couple things here and there, but you had a huge foundation that you could have played on. Instead, you said, we're discontinuing the EU. It's going to be called what's now called Legends, and it's going to be its own separate thing. Well, why are you stealing from it? The whole cloned Palpatine, that's straight from Dark Force Rising, folks, where Palpatine was a clone, and he went out like a bitch when frickin' Han Solo shot him with his DL-44. I mean, let's face it, folks. Palpatine went out like a bitch. That's why a lot of people said Dark Force was the weakest part of the entire EU. And I'm inclined to agree. And if they would have kept with the story that was going on at this point, they would have been at a stage where it was Legacy of the Jedi, where Jaina and Jason were alive, and Jason was becoming Darth Caedus. If they would have went with that, you would have had so many fans still attracted to Disney. But Disney wanted to go their own way. They wanted to discard anything that Lucas and anything that was under Lucas's era. They wanted to discard it entirely. And because of that, they pushed away fans. And then they hired somebody who had no respect for Star Wars, who wanted to do his own thing and got the go-ahead and did his own thing and ended up dividing the fan base even further. What was his name? Brian Johnson or something like that? Ryan Johnson?
Of course, Ryan Johnson.
I mean, his name is that unimportant now. Because when he finally admitted he cared nothing about Star Wars, nobody cares about him anymore. He is that unimportant. He is a sleazeball. And I am so sick and tired of people saying, thank you, Ryan Johnson. You people are not Star Wars fans. I'm saying this directly to the SJWs on Twitter. You're not Star Wars fans. And I can say that as a fact, because I guarantee you, any Star Wars fan who knows the EU, who has read books like the Karen Travis novels, who's Etain Termukan? If you could tell me who that is, I'll respect you a lot. Because
what was the name of the character? Oh, it's a she. Okay.
Yeah, her name is Etain Termukan. And because I don't want to spend all night waiting for many people to look it up, basically, she was a female Jedi. She was a strong female character. Yes, she ended up dying during Order 66, actually in the Karen Travis novel, Order 66. But she was a Jedi that fell in love with a clone commando named Darman, who
Yep. I'm guessing your stream froze. Or was it Disney hacking the stream? Well, folks, I don't know if you can hear me, or if I didn't know this was gonna get cut off. Well, well, I guess I'm the only one in here. I have no idea. Well, Orange Hat just said standby. I'm sure he'll be back. But yeah, what else is new? You know, Disney not knowing what the fuck they're doing because they're a bunch of fucking clueless money buffs that just don't really know anything about storylines, storytelling. They always know about the green, and he's back.
No, Sam, they're not messing with the live stream. I have internet issues. I have a weak Wi-Fi system. That's actually my landlady's. Whenever she picks up the phone, the landline, it's not dial-up. It's actually just weak Wi-Fi. If she picks up the landline, it will crash the internet, and then I have to wait. Even when she hangs it up, it will do the same thing. When people call in, it will kill the internet and kick me out. So yes, if this happens during my live streams and you guys are tuning in, just stand by, be patient, please. I usually am back within a minute. If not, it's taking a little longer, but I will inevitably come back in. Now, back to Etain Termacon. She is a Jedi who fell in love with a clone, actually married him at the last second before dying, but she also had a kid with the clone. And this child was named Venku, a Force-sensitive Mandalorian. Can you imagine a Force-sensitive Mandalorian from the EU? The EU Mandalorians, not this crap that they got now. Can you imagine the potency of that kind of person? I can, because they did it. And Venku, they didn't really go into his life. They had his young self and then his later older self in Legacy of the Force with during the Cadus arc. And let me tell you, Venku was written basically as a diplomat to succeed Boba Fett, and he's actually related to Boba Fett by blood, because Boba Fett's a clone, Dar was a clone, so technically Venku is Boba Fett's nephew. In a sense, he is Boba Fett's nephew. And Barden Ju. I might have another cutout soon, folks.
Yeah.
But if I do, Scotty will keep you occupied.
I'll do my best.
How you doing, AFK? Good to see you.
What's up, AFK? You're in the house.
Yeah, she is, man. I often say she is one of the most beautiful YouTubers I have ever seen, folks, and definitely she is.
Oh, sure. Have I seen her before? Maybe I have. I don't remember.
She's on Teresa Martin's streams. Other than that, she's normally, or she'll also jump on other people's streams. Rosetta's stream once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you missed the hat. But yeah, right now we're discussing a lot of the failures of Disney Star Wars. The power of the Force combined with the code of Mandalore. Shit's gonna get real. You're damn right, Soul Assassin. I mean, Venku, he despises Jedi, but he also is not willing, or he's also not afraid to use the Force, which is pretty cool. But he doesn't use it openly when he's on Mandalore. And it's these kind of interesting things that they should have gone into more depth with when Disney got a hold of something sacred like Star Wars. And I just wish that they had. Because if they had, they would have had me continuing to be a fan. But then they discontinued Clone Wars, which was stupid of them to do, until now, obviously. I want to read the expanded universe, but it seems daunting. It is very daunting. But don't let that stop you, AFK. Trust me, you will like the expanded universe. And as many people say, start with the Thrawn trilogy, I'm actually willing to be the one that I would start chronologically with Truce of Bakura, which takes place directly after Return of the Jedi. Because but that's my preference because I believe in reading things in order. And then I would go, or after you get to the end of Legacy of the Force, or Fate of the Jedi, rather, which is the Abeloth series. I so want to read that. But I have very limited resources and very limited access to areas where those books exist. Oh, he muted himself. Okay. At first I thought my internet was about to cut out again because I was using that background noise of his to actually... Can you shoot me a list of your preferences? You know what? I will actually, yes. When I am done, I will give you a list of my favorite novels of the EU. And I just knocked out my headphones, folks. But yeah, basically, actually, I'll give you a couple of them. The Darth Bane trilogy, the Vader trilogy, the Legacy of the Jedi, and the Yuzong Vong War. All great series. The Yuzong Vong War is the New Jedi Order, or the NJO. And there are books like the X-Wing series and other things like the Kratos Trap. One of my favorite standalone novels is Rendezvous. It's a Clone Wars novel that Yoda goes to the dark side with, just to prove a point. I just read that part. I think it was an exile or sacrifice. Didn't realize that's who you were talking to. Exactly. NJO is from after Return of the Jedi. Yes, New Jedi Order is basically 25 years after Return of the Jedi. And the first book really hits you in the feels, in the fifis, as Jesse Milestone would say. It really hits you in the fifis. But I'm not going to spoil it for you. But yes, Trailer, Vanku is that one that I was talking about. Yeah, it's about 20 or so years after. Actually, it is 25 specific years after, specifically 25. Also, the Darth Vader series, Labyrinth of Evil, Episode 3, and Rise of Darth Vader. That's another great trilogy, because Rise of Darth Vader, you get to understand what it's like in the suit, what it's like for Anakin to have that suit on, what it's like to hear the way that he hears, see what he sees, and understand that he can't go to places like Tatooine, Naboo, Mustafar, or even the Jedi Temple, because it would be so dangerous for his health and for his psyche even. Why do you think he doesn't go to... I mean, that's another thing that I didn't like what Disney did. They gave him a castle on Mustafar, and I'm like, he would never go back there. But yeah, I'm not sure what those are. What is... Okay, I kind of want to read the ones that take place between the original trilogy movies. Those are Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, I believe. But if you really want to... Or there's a book that's called Shadows of the Empire. That actually takes place during and between episodes 5 and 6. Wasn't Vanku in a gay relationship, or was that another Mandalorian? That was another Mandalorian. That was Braylor, I believe. He was the gay Mandalorian. Oh yeah, Shadows on the Empire. I heard that one was good. It is. It's a good book, and it's a great Nintendo 64 game. I actually like... Our N64 game was pretty good. I had the master cheat to that game. I'm an old school gamer. I'm an old school console gamer. I played Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64. I never got into GameCube. But PlayStation 2 was as far as I went. Well, I also did Xbox and Xbox 360. But I was very, very limited with the games that I got. But yeah, those games I definitely or those books I definitely recommend.
Oh, I think he froze again. So, yep, it's the Wi-Fi. Tell me one thing: if Orange had a Wi-Fi extender like I've been seeing on those ads, do you think?
Okay, I think I'm back.
I hear your.
Am I back?
Well, I hear your voice. I don't see the picture. It's not in sync. I heard your voice, but I didn't hear you.
Let's see if I'm back. I hope I'm back. Because I still can't hear Scotty.
Well, oh, you can't hear me shit. Well, I guess that's the case. Oh, yep, he's gonna have to. He's gonna be on standby, and yeah, he's gonna be put on standby, and just hold your horses, folks. He'll be back. Yes, no worries. Yep, I think
but yeah. Also, God, I hope the damn. I wish my landlady would stay off the landline at this time of night. But anywho, yes, the episode 3 novel is very good. Like I said, the Vader trilogy AFK is very good. You will like it. You're just not going to hear things about Ahsoka and other people in there from the Clone Wars, because that came after the book was written. But believe me, the lightsaber fights in episode 3 are flippin' phenomenal. But anyway, I do recommend that one, the Darth Bane trilogy, which takes place 1,000 years before episode 1. You have my personal favorite book that stands alone is a standalone Clone Wars novel is Rendezvous. Like I said, Yoda goes to the dark side just to prove a point. But there's some very good quotes from Yoda in there. Basically because he knew Anakin would never return there. Yes. That is one of the main reasons. What Trayla just said. But anyway, folks, I am going to start wrapping it up because I've already gone over an hour. But anyway, before I go, stay tuned for next week from tonight coming up at 9 p.m. next Friday night is going to be my next Versus stream, which is going to be Xenomorphs versus EU Legends Mandalorians. Army versus Army, basically. And it's not just going to be the Xenomorphs that you're used to in the movies. We're going different species of Xenomorphs. It's a menagerie of species in this. And I'm going to have OG Star Wars and Ryan Kennels.
I think you got froze. Damn it. Damn, that Wi-Fi you have must really blow. It's gone from suck to blow. But anyways, I think if you all heard him, he was going to have OG Star Wars and Ryan Cannell in there. I don't know if he's going to have anyone else, but that's what I heard, folks. So, heard I relay that message. Yep. Orange Hat says, hold on a second. Just bear with us, folks. He'll be back. Gotta do some tweaking. That's cool. Thanks, Scotty. No problem, AFK Bard. Guess he's trying to refresh.
Oh, wow. It didn't kick me out.
Oh, there you go.
AFK asks where I come up with these ideas and whatnot. Honestly, sometimes I take requests. Sometimes I think them up myself. I have a beautiful mind. It's part of my massive creativity in my mind. But yeah, there's next week is going to be that one, and 2 weeks after that, because I do them every 2 weeks, is going to be Darth Vitiate, which is the immortal emperor of the Sith, long before Palpatine was ever a thing. And his enemy is going to be Palpatine. It's going to be Sith Emperor versus Sith Emperor, basically. And it's going to be Legends Palpatine, not this bitch Palpatine that we had in the Disney trilogy. Anyway, folks, those live streams are going to be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Lethal Lightning might, not for certain, might be in the Palpatine versus Vitiate. I have a slot reserved for him if he wants to. But yeah, next week we got Ambassador from the Ambassadorial Wing. We got Annihilus B, or Darth Annihilus. OG Star Wars and Ryan Kennel from RK Outpost are going to be doing and me are going to be doing Xenos versus EU Mandalorians. You can send me a request. HAL 9000 versus GLaDOS. I'll have to look those up. I honestly don't know who they are. So I will look them up, and I will see if I can make it happen. I can't make any promises, though, AFK. But I will try to see what I can do with it, alright? That's all I can honestly do. And with that, folks, yes, each of them, I also do random streams. I'll do current event streams, usually sometimes during the afternoon and whatnot. And I do videos on and off, but mostly I've been doing live stream videos because of the whole COVID-19 thing. It's hard to get out there and whatnot. And I always do my uploading off-site, meaning I upload my videos at like the theater or laundromat because they have the best Wi-Fi around. If I tried uploading here, it would 1 minute of my video would take an hour to upload. So anyway, folks, that's why you haven't been seeing a lot of videos from me. You've been seeing a lot more live streams. But anyway, folks, I am going to start wrapping it up. I want to thank everybody that's been in the chat. AFK, Tam, Soul Assassin, Trayla, Scotty, Brian the Observer. Thank you both for dropping by. Junebug Films, Happy Dino 8000. And I think I got everyone. No, James Petter, or Jans Petter, Jens Peter. Thank you, Junebug, and that is everyone. Thank you. You are all amazing and beautiful people, especially you, AFK. So anyway, folks, if you are catching this on the replay, y'all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below of any of the topics that we have discussed today. And always remember, stay humble. This has been Orange Hat Reviews, and I will catch you all on the next one.
Later, everyone.